Many good books have a chapter on reading the board. Almost all inexperienced players just skim that chapter because they believe reading the board is so obvious, of course they'll see what's there. But until you're experienced, here's the mistake you will make over and over unless you learn how to study and what to study. You've been limping in on a draw and hit a card on the river, or sometimes on the turn that makes your hand. When the card hits, you become aggressive, only to get re-raised and end up losing the pot. Well, what happened? You only saw the card helping you when, in fact, it helped somebody else more. Impossible, you say. You certainly would have seen the card helping somebody else more than it helped you until you've played your 250,000 hands and have learned to see the entire board. There's a natural psychological reaction when you think that ace that just paired your ace-king on the river makes you the winning hand. You only see the card that helped you, not how that card could have helped an opponent. What's worse, even though you swear it will never happen to you again, it happens over and over and over. This selective focus occurs in all facets of human endeavor, but it's just much easier to see in poker. There are two paths to see the board clearly. Number one, you make the expensive mistake of failing to clearly read the board so often and lose so much money, eventually you learn what to do. If I give an electric shock to a lab rat every time it does something wrong, it eventually learns. If you choose this path, you're the rat. Or number two, you practice reading the board and make it part of your game. We're going to focus on you reading the board. In a later session, you will find you must fold probably a lot more than you're used to. How does that help you read the board? Well, you get to practice on every hand. It doesn't cost you anything extra. Most books which include a chapter on reading the board suggest you first figure out what's the best possible hand, the nuts, the second best, and so on. Then they identify three main categories of hands. The first category, pairs, sets, trips, quads. The second, straights. The third, flushes, which includes straight flushes. I'm going to also recommend you identify the nuts, the second nuts, and so on, but I suggest you always look for the straight draw first. Why? Because they're the easiest to miss, and because they're everywhere. On the flop, you're going to be able to identify a straight draw 68%, almost 3/4 of the time. And here's a sheet I give to my students. And here's the homework I give to my students. They have to go to a speed table on the internet and over a period of several weeks record their reading of 5,000 boards. All the flops, all the turns, all the rivers. I won't go into the difficult to read gaps, the shared ace, which can form both a wheel and a treetop in the same hand, because if you use this sheet for 5,000 hands, you will make reading the board part of your game. And we're going to have available for you the nuts game. The nuts game is going to allow you to identify the nuts very fast. Every great player learns how to read the board. They learn how to do the straights and the nuts and second nuts, etc. Reading the board is simple, but it's not as easy as it looks.